Hey guys! Do you need a rescue? Now, difficulties in learning English can make you feel lost at sea, and without some help, it can be very difficult to get moving in the right direction again. But overcoming these or those difficulties may be a lot easier than you think. And you don't believe me, do you? So in this podcast, I'm going to be showing you the 3 biggest difficulties in learning English vocabulary, pronunciation, and conversational skills. And I'll also show you simple tricks to master these difficulties and move on. So let's get started. Now, have you ever thought, that your classmates and other English learning friends might also be frustrated with difficulties in learning English? They probably are. And they're probably pulling their hair and drinking cups and cups of coffee because of the same stressful feelings you have. But what better way to overcome these difficulties than as a group? Studies have shown that studying in a group can boost your learning. Group studying makes learning more fun and reduces the stress you might feel about difficult English topics. Now, group learning also doesn't have to take place only in an educational setting. It can also take place in a cafe, in a pub, at a classmate's home, in a restaurant, park, or even in public transportation. And your group can make learning more effective by creating role-playing games where you act out real world English situations, and you can also try drinking game or even a bet where a reward is involved. Whatever you need to make it fun and motivating for everyone. But what happens when your group isn't really sure if you're studying the right way? Now, you can ask a native speaker to be part of the learning time if possible, and he or she can be the referee, keeping scores for the games or listening for mistakes in your role-playing exercises. Now, that said, let's look at majorly 3 difficulties in learning the English language, and this can be a life-saving guide to you if I do say so myself. Now, the first difficulty in the English language is vocabulary words with multiple meanings. Have you ever seen an English word that you thought you knew, but it was used in a completely strange way? Like, this is so relatable. Now, English vocabulary is especially difficult because there are so many words that have multiple definitions, and so it's easy to misunderstand their meanings. It's also difficult to memorize many different definitions for each word. Take the word date, for example. This word can mean a specified day of the month or a time 2 people spend time with each other romantically. The only possible way to understand which definition is used is to pay keen attention to context clues. Now, this means that you use the surrounding words and sentences to find out which definition of the word makes sense. Now, even if you haven't learned all the definitions for a difficult word in English, context clues can help you figure out the right definition. We're going to look at 2 sentences and you tell me the difference. We're going to use the word date. The first sentence is, when's the date for the first day of school again? When's the date for the first day of school again? While the second sentence is, would you like to go on a date with me? Would you like to go on a date with me? Now, in the first sentence, someone is asking for a specific day when school starts. This isn't a romantic event that 2 people will spend time together. Now, the second sentence is trickier because you can tell that the person isn't asking for a specific or single date, but they are asking for time, they're asking to spend time with you. Now, another trick is to pay attention to the part of speech. For example, it might be a noun, an adjective, and very often the different definitions for an English word will have different parts of speech, and so it's easy to tell them apart. Let's take another example. Take the word point. Now, for this lesson, we're going to take 2 meanings of the word point because I'm really sure that this word has multiple definitions, but let's just look at 2. Now, the first one is to gesture towards a place, a direction, a person, or a thing. And the second one is, the sharp point of an object. Now, look at the following sentences and look at the role that the word points place. This will help you figure out the definition and it will make more sense to you. The first sentence is, can you point to the exit? I can't find it. Can you point to the exit? I can't find it. And the second one is, she tapped me with the point of her pencil. She tapped me with the point of her pencil. Now, in the first sentence, the word point is being used as a verb. So we can deduce that the first definition applies, which is to point to an exit. While in the second sentence, the word point functions as a noun. She said she tapped me with the point of her pencil. So the point of her pencil. So functions as a noun, and we can use the second definition here. The second difficulty in English language is the fact that words don't sound the way they look, and this is like a huge one. Another way I can say this is the English language is not a strictly phonetic language, which means that words are not always what they same or how they look, and this can be very difficult, for non-native speakers to understand, because you're looking at a word. For example, take the word choir, that's choir, but someone who's not a native speaker can say something like choir or something, and that can be really confusing. Even native speakers have trouble with this one, and in the English language, a large number of words aren't spelt phonetically, and this means that they sound very differently from what you'd expect based on their spellings. Now, let's look at these examples very quickly. The month February. Now, when you pronounce February, you do not say February. No, not at all. So you notice the R in the word is not pronounced. Another example is choir. choir. You might expect it to be pronounced as choir, something, that word, but it is not pronounced like that. It's pronounced choir. Another word is knife. Did I say K-N-I-F-E. Now the K is completely silent, so you'd have knife, not knife, and that would be weird if you'd say knife. Okay, but then how do you overcome these difficulties in learning English? Now, there are two very useful tools for hearing the correct native pronunciation for difficult English. The first one is Favo, and it's an audio dictionary that you can type in any word and you would get the recordings of native speakers pronouncing the word. And better yet, Favo would even show you where the speaker is from, so you would know if you're getting the pronunciation in American, British, or Australian, or any other type of English. The third difficulty of learning the English language or in the English language is getting real life speaking practice. Now, if you really or truly want to gain the full experience of speaking in English, you need to actually talk with native speakers. Now, this is the only way to practice having real English conversations, but it can be really difficult for a couple of reasons. For starters, if you don't live in an English-speaking region, you might not know where to find native speakers to practice with. And secondly, English conversations can be scary, so there's a lot of pressure when someone is waiting for you to come up with a sentence in English. And it will be tough in the beginning, but fear not. And there are ways you can meet and talk with native speakers without feeling lots of pressure, no matter where you currently live. And one of such ways is by using language exchange applications or software or something, or softwares or things like that on your phone. And a language exchange app is one of the best options, for practicing, how to speak and typing in the English language. And the most interesting part of it is you have the comfort of messaging native speakers without leaving your home. You can be in your pajamas and you're taking your classes or having that real life conversation over the phone, obviously, but having the real life conversation with native speakers. Now we have applications that can help you improve with native speakers at your beck and call. Finally, learning the rules of pronunciation, definitions, and speaking in English language may seem like a very difficult one to do, but with the above tips I've given you, consistent practice and confidence in yourself, you should have no troubles overcoming these difficulties in English. And so thank you so much for listening to my podcast episode, Learn English with Ruth. I take great pride in teaching my students, and everyone who's listening to me out there. I take great pride in teaching them how to improve on the pronunciation, English vocabulary, and English grammar. And until I come your way next time, stay safe and speak better every day. And also, if you noticed, I did a solo one today, yes, because James is unavailable, but I promise that in the next episode he's going to be around. Yes, so thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in episode 9. Bye guys.